Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, Chief Sophia, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. This energy is picking up. We are going in the right direction. It's a lot. It's so much going on. It's so much happening. A lot of cycles are wrapping up. So I had to come back and wrap up this whole AI thing because I had forgotten so much stuff.
Love it. Yeah, it's the energy definitely has shifted significantly as we spoke about. I think it was last week. There was
Yeah.
a significant shift, and from that shift, it's like everything is flowing so much more easily, which also means that the other side, whatever that other side is really having it very rough right now.
Oh yeah, they're mucked up. They're caught up in the muck. Yes, where they belong.
Yeah. So, and that's a very scary part to be in because, we are, what do they say, like light and nimble.
Right.
We're not tied to the material, mainly obviously because of the work that we've done, but also because like the system has refused to serve us. The system
Right.
has refused to provide for us. So as a result, like we actually are at a huge advantage because we don't have to spend so much time trying to manage whatever physical material empire we might have built. Whereas
Right.
for them, everything is slowing down for them, and they have so much work to manage, so much in the physical to figure out, while we're just continuing to flow with uh, help accelerating that collapse while
Right.
also building out this uh, new reality while continuing to stay light. Because I think that's the really important part is the ability to be light.
Yes.
And in this reality, to be light is actually almost perceived as a failure.
Right. Absolutely. Um, the reason why we're able to be light is because literally they disoriented us from our timeline. So before I can even get into the AI stuff, we have to go back. They created a new calendar called the Gregorian calendar, but we didn't use the Gregorian calendar. We used the Julian calendar. But even that is, questionable. Like we made the Julian calendar aligned with the celestial alignment. So it wasn't like, oh, we had the Julian calendar and um what they said the word was bond. That's not how it works. If again, because some of the days in the cycle you have to physically observe. And so the Julian calendar was always kind of rolling around because it was based on the observation of particular celestial alignments, particular energetic alignments. And so what happened was they brought in this Gregorian calendar. They're trying to resolve this whole thing. That this is their AI at the time, right? Literally, the Gregorian calendar is their AI at the time. This is like the 1500s. So in the 1500s, 1552 specifically, they started switching over in Europe and Asia, wherever, to this Gregorian calendar. Well, they couldn't get us to switch over. Well, first of all, they act like they didn't know there was people here, which is another, not I'm not going to get into that. But in the Americas, we didn't switch over to that particular calendar until 1752. Now, what they did, because if you look at the history of those 10 days that they took out the calendar, they took them out in Europe in October. Now, October specifically was October 5th through the 15th. Now, those 10 days in particular, those are the days that is the Feast of Booths. So the Feast of Booths or the Feast of Succoth is literally like your days of connecting with nature. So in Europe, this is how you have the native Europeans of all complexions totally disconnected from the earth because they took away the Feast of Booths, which is your time to reconnect with the earth. And once you get disoriented from a calendar, it's extremely difficult to catch back up. So this is why, like, for example, they're always switching things around. They're always trying, like at work, like they'll give you a schedule, then they'll change your schedule. They'll give you another, because they're trying to keep you disoriented, right? So they couldn't do that in Americas. We're still observing our stuff here. We don't have nothing to do with what they're talking about. But when the 13 colonies came, which I'm always railing on the 13 colonies, and they're trying to control the millions of people who are already here, which they cannot figure out how to control because we have our own system, our own way of doing everything. We'll work for 5 minutes and then, hey, we gonna supposed to have a Sabbath. We ain't working, we ain't doing nothing. They're getting upset. They can't control. We're uncontrollable. So what they do is the 10 days that they take from us in the Americas in 1752 cover some very important holidays, right? The first thing is on the first, because my calendar that I did, it synchronizes all of these things. Like it's like a global synchrometer. Like it synchronizes all of these things. So the start of the month is on the 22nd of August, okay? But on the 21st of August, this is every year. On the 21st, this part of the calendar doesn't actually change unless there's a leap year and then it may be moved by a day, but still not a big enough change to be a huge deal. So, on the 21st of August, basically every year we have in the last conversation 8 days where the energy is synced. The market calendar and your internal calendar are synced for 8 straight days. Because when you get to 8, it goes back to 1, but we really have a 9 day. So then it's slightly off. But August the 21st through August the 28th, those are the 8 days where the market calendar and your personal internal calendar are synced. So the full moon happened in Pisces on the 25th, I believe. Now, you guys might not know this, but when we have the full moon in Pisces, the very next day is the start of the lunar year, because the start of the full moon cycle starts from the fullness. It goes from full moon to full moon. So you can't start on the day of the full moon because that's the end of the Pisces full moon cycle. So the day after the Pisces full moon starts the Aries new moon cycle, which starts our lunar calendar. So they let us start the calendar. And what happens is when you have when you have the Zolkin months, there's two very important things that happen. On the first day of the month, you that's when you announce the start of the month. You announce your holidays, your feast days, your portal, whatever it is, you announce it to the people. But personally on the inside, that's the day that you ask for whatever it is that you need. That starts with the very first day of any Zolkin month. On the 7th of that month, that is when whatever you ask for on the first starts to show up. Then on the 14th of the month, that is when those answers come in. So what they did by taking out September the 3rd is the day before the Ides, which is the 14th of the month. So basically, it's like if you ask for something on the 1st, they start showing up with it on the 7th, you solve the problem and pay all your bills on the 14th, they never showed up. They never showed up because they took that day away. And once that got out of sync, people could not get back. It still took them a long time to really get everybody out of sync, but that was the inception point. That was the inception point of their artificial intelligence, was their calendar. Literally, they separated us from that cycle. Something else that happens in that time period from the 3rd to the 13th, what is the nativity of the Theotokos. The nativity of the Theotokos is on the 8th. And so, and then on the 14th, which would have been the second day, the next day, that's the exaltation of the cross. But think about it this way: how can you have the exaltation of the cross, which is where you basically venerate the cross because Jesus died on the cross. How can you have the cross if you don't have the mother? So they literally took the mother away. I mean, like in a literal sense. They took her nativity away. They took her birth away. So if you don't have the birth of the mother, you can't have the birth of the son. So they literally snatched that out of the calendar. And then next thing you know, everything is all jumbled up. And so we have been dealing with the fact that they messed this calendar up the way that they did for since 1752. So there's blessings, there's things that people have been asking for in their bloodline since 1752 that now have to show up, because another part of this cycle is it's not just that we synchronize the timelines, right? It's not just that. It's also that whoever these people are that did this mess have been harvesting our blessings because they know the real timeline. So they've been harvesting our blessings and all the stuff we've been asking for during this process. So you have, like I said before, the comet Atlas 3I is coming in to observe and see what's happening, and that's one thing. But another huge part of this is that you have Pluto for the next 10 years going out of bounds. And out of bounds is an astronomical term. And it basically means it's going to be coming off the ecliptic plane. Because in the ecliptic plane, it's basically like even, and all the planets are moving around each other as we move forward into space. But Pluto is going to be off the elliptic to the south. So it's going to be, and it's not for a short amount of time. It's like 50 or 60 days. I didn't do the calculation yet exactly. It's like 50 or 60 days for 10 years. So you asked last time, how are we going to enforce this? What's going to keep them from just coming back and doing this stuff again? Pluto. They're not going to be. They can't control Pluto. See, they can control Saturn. They can control some of these other planets. They said Pluto wasn't a planet. Their astronomers got together and said Pluto wasn't a planet. So it's not under their control. That was a choice they made. They thought that if they took the power of the planet away from Pluto, it would take the power away from the people. But that's not what happened, because last year we did a fast. When Pluto was getting ready to go into Aquarius for the last time, we literally did a fast. We started fasting last year. This is no joke. We started fasting I started fasting on July the 29th last year. And we fasted all the way until November the 19th or something like that, when Pluto entered Aquarius again. What were we doing? We were synchronizing our energy with Pluto, because Pluto had gone into Aquarius and went back into retrograde and then came back into Aquarius. We were literally synchronizing our energy with Pluto. I didn't know Pluto was going out of bounds every year for the next 10 years. I had no idea. I just said, listen, we have to support Pluto in whatever it is that it's getting ready to do, because it's really like important, because it's going into Aquarius, and this is supposed to be the golden age, not the age of darkness. And if we let them tell it, it's going to be the age of darkness. So that was my energetic feeling. So we literally synced our energy to Pluto with this fast, so that now it's going to spend 10 years making sure, like doing the enforcement, like making sure that everything is lined up the way they're supposed to be. That is like impossible for one, and it's incredible for two. But that is the only energy, because it's the one that they can't control. They cannot control that. If they could, they wouldn't have named it a planet, unnamed it a planet, trying to figure out how to, describe how it moves. Because I listened to an astrologer earlier who was saying that Pluto doesn't even rotate around the Earth in the solar system the way the other planets do. It's totally different. And so you have this, like, this planet, they literally, this planet they cannot control, that's doing something that is uncontrollable. They could not convince that thing to do whatever it is. That they wouldn't listen to them anyway. So this is how all of this is converging to make sure that these people who have done this, who literally use their AI god to take us off the timeline, will never ever be able to recover. This has never happened. So many things that have never happened before have happened in the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, there was a conjunction in 2022, the day we started our fast, that has never happened before and will never happen again. It was Uranus, the South Node. Yeah, Uranus, the South Node, and Mars were conjunct. Never happened before. Never. No one could never happen before on this planet and will never happen again. This is the kind of stuff that has been happening as a result of this 11 days that they stole from us in 1752.
Wow. There's with you there's no appetizer. You go straight to the entree.
Yeah, I just, because it's too much. Like, it's so, that's not even against the other stuff, but I was like, let me
Yeah,
break, because
set the stage.
yeah, because I might have gone like too much into the astrology that you might have actual questions about it,
Wow.
because it's complicated.
So you said okay, you said that um so the all those blessings have to show up now. Why now, and how do you see that playing out in terms of um so yeah, so I guess what has changed that is now allowing the blessings that are supposed to be provided for the, I guess, the right people, or the people that have
The
not been getting the
aligned people,
blessings.
the
Mhm.
aligned people. So the reason why it has to happen now is because I listened to another astrologer, and she described it like this: when there's a decision point that happens, which is what happened with the Revolutionary War, like, the people who are on this land decided they did not want to be occupied by these foreigners. Okay, that was a decision. I know the Goldilocks Americans, these fake heritage Americans, they literally don't believe that, but that is what happened. We decided we don't want y'all on our land. You guys need to go. That was a decision point. And so we had a constitution, all this stuff happened as a result of that. Okay. Because before that, people came to this land all the time. We didn't have a problem with people coming to this land. Again, you had the Louisiana Purchase, you had the whole Mexico thing. All those people were people from other lands. We didn't have a problem with them the way that we had the problem with the British. And it wasn't really the British, it was these Khazarians from the Khazarian Khaganate that were being kicked out of Europe from all the stuff that they had done, um, with all the other stuff that was going on, that were looking for a place to flee, that ended up coming here. So it was those people that we were like, no, we cannot have those people on this land. It doesn't go together. They have to go. So when we had the Constitution and all of that stuff that happened with the Revolutionary War, there was a decision made, and the decision was those people can't be here. They're not like us. They have to go. That was a decision. So the astrologer said this: when you have a decision point, like, and when you have a decision point, there's two paths. You take path A or path B, right? And so basically what happened was, even though we decided those people had to go, they never let us take that path. Instead, we've been living the path as if we let them stay. So because we're coming up as a country on our 250th year anniversary, and also our Pluto return as a country, like, this is our Pluto return as a country. We're coming up at that time, right? So basically, everything that, from the choice that we did make, like, they've been carrying it as if we made the choice where we wanted them to stay, but we really made the choice where we told them to go. So now that we're coming back into this merge point, which is this Pluto return, everything that was everything we were the life we were supposed to live as a country 250 years ago has to come back to us now, because as we get ready to start our next Pluto cycle, everything, the equilibrium has to be restored. So for the astrologer, she was saying that, like, 40 years ago she made a decision, she was going to go to university overseas and become a fiction writer and all of this. or she could go with this dude, start a family, or whatever. And so she made the choice to go with the guy, start the family, move to America, all this stuff. And so now that cycle is coming to an end. It's a 40-year cycle. Now she just said, "Oh, it's a 40-year cycle," but she doesn't understand. There's big cycles, there's small cycles, whatever. These astrologers are not, they're good, but they're not great. Okay. So now that 40-year window is closing, which is kind of like a Venus cycle, um, everything that she would have gained from the last 40 years, if she went to like France and became a writer and all that stuff, is starting to merge into her current life. So that's what's been happening over the everything this country would have been if we the decision that we made was honored, because we told these people to get off our land, and instead they changed the calendar. Like, this is a whole ridiculous thing. So everything the people who are native to this land, and this is people of all colors, right? It's not just black people, it's a lot of people who was on this land. But everybody, because it wasn't just black people fighting in the Revolutionary War. I would be stupid to say that. It was everybody who said, we don't want them. They're not like us. Let us live in this country in peace. We left y'all for a reason. Now y'all trying to say y'all can't have no peace? No, that's not fair. So everybody whose bloodline connects to that time in this country has to be given the things that they would have had if those people would have honored our decision. This is what they've been running from. They've been running from this type of karma. Like, they have, because when they changed the timeline, they took out the Theotokos. The Theotokos is the one who intercedes for us with Jesus and with the Creator. She's our intercessor. So they took out our intercessor. So for 250 plus years, we've been without our intercessor. And now our intercessor is back. That means all the things that she was supposed to intercess for have to be given. Because what did I say in the last show? The saints are 100%. When you ask a saint for something, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to get it or not, because they're going to do it. That's their job. They have a 100% success rate. And they don't play about being successful either. It's like, they remind me very Saturnian in nature. They don't play. So imagine you have the mother of God who's been unable to intercede for her people for 250 years. I would be mad if I was her, quadruple mad. I would do stuff I'd never done before, like Pluto out of bounds for 10 years to make sure that the things get enforced properly. And so that's why it's coming back around. So what they've done to us in this day and age is they make it so that people don't make decisions. Like, Gen Z don't make decisions. Like, there's no like big choice points. Like, when I was a teenager, there was big choice points. Like, you could do this or you could do that or this or that. Like, there was big choice points. These kids have never made these. They've never had. There are no choices. You know what I mean? Like, everything is just the quote unquote middle path. That's what's so sinister about these spiritual people, because they know if you don't make any choices, there's no other versions of you that's going out and grabbing your blessings, because there's blessings in different choices. Like, just because you don't make the choice that you think is this or that doesn't mean that there's not a blessing assigned to that. Like, no, there's blessings assigned to that. And that version of you that made the other choice, like in the metaverse, right, they're gathering all the blessings that come from that, while you in this current life cycle are gathering the blessings that come from making the other choice. And then at a certain point in the cycle, you guys come back together. Now there's 18-year cycles. Like I said, there's 250-year cycles. It really depends on the planet, what it was in the planetary cycle. So, like, in my case, I always said, ever since I was a young person, why can't I do it all? Like, why do I have to make a choice? Like, who does that? And that's how I live my life. So I never had these big, oh my gosh, if I do this, if I do that, if I take this job, I never had those, because I always did everything. I'm like, even right now, I work and I'm also a stay-at-home mom at the same time. People are always like, how do you do that? Like, I don't know. First of all, I don't work for money. So I'm at work because I'm keeping an eye on my kids. and I consider myself a stay-at-home mom. Well, how do you pay for that? How do you live? I don't know, but I know one thing. I don't care about none of this stuff. My top priority is my kids and what they need, and everything else kind of comes after that. And so some people like it, some people hate it. Most people hate it because they can't live like me. They can't, they just can't do it. And that's what they've taken away. So now they don't even give the younger generation an opportunity to make any choice. They just tell them, oh, well, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to live. You don't have any options because of this or that. You just have to settle for less. And that's what most people have done. Like there's whole generations of people who have just settled for what they could get because they couldn't get no more, and because they took away that ability to dream. And so we have to instill into these young people that creativity and that ability to dream, because if you can dream it, you can do it. If you have a dream about it, you can actually do it. And we have to keep that alive in the children so that they can have the dream, and they can also have what they do in the physical realm, and they can have the blessings that come from both.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. It's very interesting with the group of people that have been doing this behind the scenes. I mean, it's like it's so brilliantly done, and yet it's also like it's so much work.
Yes.
It's because how perceive it currently is they've been working so hard and diligently in building a misaligned system, while yeah, sure, we have obviously also been working very hard, but it's like it's in many ways, if you look back, it's been effortless
Right.
because you're flowing with what is in alignment.
Right.
And so it's for me, it's just like uh, it's like what is this? Is this greed? Like energy is this? It's just such it's so foreign to think that they have tried so desperately to build something that it's you're building on sand.
Right.
And so at any moment it's just going to be gone. But they keep pushing it and they keep pushing it, and it's like they refuse to give up, while I mean it's a great example of, really, I think, David and Goliath, where the Goliath figure is so big and mighty, and yet David is able to essentially conquer Goliath.
Yep.
And we've been doing this for playing this act for who knows how long, but they always think because they are somehow physically bigger that they're going to win.
Right.
And I mean, the next 10 years is going to be very traumatic for them. It's
Oh.
already traumatic. I feel the people in my reality that which is like, I mean, it's I would say almost everybody. It's like 99% of people in my reality completely misaligned, and I can feel that they're just melting away.
Yep.
Like they're just being melted away, and they don't even know who they are.
Nope.
They don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know where they're gonna go. They don't even know who they like, what they like. They don't even know who they are.
Nope.
As the times become even more chaotic. And so for the people that actually have been doing the work to be aligned, we know who we are.
Right.
We know what we're doing, and right now it's picking up momentum. What we were doing before, we were in the drudgery doing the work, showing the Lord our loyalty and devotion to him. That was really fucking slow.
Right.
And yet we still did it. We
Right.
continued at it even through the insane amounts of negation from all these bots, basically,
Right.
that were just told, "Oh, you are a woman, you are a man. This is what you do. This is how you do it. Copy everybody in your reality. Try to be this, try to be that." Now that's all being destroyed because obviously the system is being destroyed.
Right.
So the gilded, it's like the Gilded Age. It's like they look shiny, but you look inside and it's just shit.
Yep.
It's broken. There's nothing actually of value within them, while we continue to accelerate and dominate in a way where it leaves everybody speechless.
Right. That's
And
true.
it's interesting because, like, right now in the last few months, and I think specifically this year, especially being a 9 year, it's almost like it's getting really eerie. People don't know what's going on. There's a change in the wind, and most people thought that the system had won, but now as the fog is clearing away, you're seeing that there is no system anymore. That it's
Right.
just it's like completely collapsed, and now all these sheep have no idea where to go.
Right. So first, it's an 8 year. We haven't started a 9 year yet. So this is how all of this stuff
Oh, okay,
started.
yes, right, 8,
This is
uh-huh.
how all this stuff started, like being like peeled away from them. When I started to figure out little pieces of the timeline, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. This didn't happen then. This happened at this time. This didn't happen like this. This happened at another time. And I started, and a lot of people started chipping away at their telling of the story. Um, it really started to create problems for them because if they control the timeline, they control the beginning and the end. But like for example, when it was last year when I was like, wait a minute, the lunar, I said, how do they pick the lunar year? Like, lunar new year is in February. That makes no sense. Like, they just, it was so random. And when I did some research into it, I was like, this is not how, who, people believe this? Like, this doesn't, it doesn't energetically align with what I'm feeling. So people are saying this is a 9 year. This is it. We're still in the 8 year. And so what people don't understand about that is 8 is the number of infinity. It's an infinity symbol. If people don't get their acts together before this year ends, which the last day of the lunar cycle is on the 7th of September, if they don't get themselves together and energetically like tie into the way the energy is actually flowing, they're going to get stuck on the doom loop. And I made a video about the doom loop like 2 years ago. This is what they did to us. We kept looping through the storyline over and over and over again because we were looking for the nativity of the Theotokos. We were looking for the birth of our mother. And because they took away those 10 days, we could not find it energetically. Like, we could not energetically put our hands on it. And, they've done so much to separate us from the Russian people in the Russian church who was keeping all of this knowledge that it would be very difficult. I find it interesting that that lady Lisa Cook, who got fired from the Federal Reserve, speaks Russian. Why would she speak Russian? Like, that's so random. Like, but if you understand, if you know, you know, it's because that's where the real information was kept. So 8 has to deal with, let me see. Is that the, what animal is the 8 animal? It's the tapir. Oh, they call it something else. Oh, because this is, wait a minute. Year 9, 10, 8. Oh, it's the year of the sheep. Is that true? Yeah, okay. So year 8 is the year of the sheep. And so that's where we're at. The sheep, the people are, there's a lot of people are spinning and a lot of people are moving forward following the shepherd. Again, if you have a shepherd to follow, you're going to move forward. But if you're following this AI shepherd who is not even a real entity, then you're not going to be able to move forward. This the whole thing about like this AI religion, like, let me talk about that cuz I don't want to forget. So in 2022, I was looking for a term to call my astroturography. And I was just like looking for different words. So I put, I can't remember the word I put into the search. But when I put this word in, somebody was already using it for something else. And I was like, oh, are we doing the same thing? It would be really good to know. Then I can look at their information and compare notes. So I ran across this guy. I can't remember his real name, but he calls himself Cosmotan. And apparently, now we have gone into how fake these people are. So just tell me how realistic this sounds. When this guy was 16, he wrote a 1.2 million word document that outlined a entire religious and philosophical belief system based on a series of books about a guy named James Millett, who he also wrote a series of books on at 16. And at 18 or 20, he published this book. It's called The Milletian Philosophy, based on the story of the guy, James Millett, that he was writing the books for. Now, he hadn't written the books yet, but he had written the philosophy of the guy. And I sent you the link for the video, but in the guy's bio, first of all, the website wasn't even finished. Let's just let me start right there. The website wasn't finished. Now, this was in 2022. So this makes me think their AI was not ready in 2022. That's why these people have been flailing. They've been trying to get more time to get their AI together. But they ran out of time because we started to wake up too fast and they couldn't do anything. There was nothing that they could do. But their AI wasn't done. The website isn't done. When I say he's got a 2,600 page document that's also not done. You get to the back of the document where it's supposed to list out like the specifics of all the stuff. It's not done. It's literally like bullet points, like they were having a meeting or something, and like they made all the bullet points, but they never got back around to filling it in and making it make sense. Again, that tells me the AI wasn't ready in 2022. So that's why they couldn't get this whole document completed, because that's something they would have written with AI, obviously. And in today's time, it's obvious. But in 2022, when I made the video, I was like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I recognize a lot of the language that they use, they took from Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy, because they called it sophism. And then I was like, oh, sophism is wisdom. So that's what the AI religion is. It's sophism. It's wisdom without the anthro, without the love. It's wisdom without love. You cannot have wisdom without love. So that's what their AI God is. It's wisdom with no love. Because anthroposophy is the love of wisdom. You have love and you have wisdom. There's a sophism, which is wisdom with no love. And so these people put out this thing. They were planning on implementing it because this guy, he's a young guy. Again, what are the qualifications? He's a young guy. He's a super genius. He knows everything. He's so polished and put together. And this guy was from Britain. So he had a lovely British accent or whatever. Like, and I'm just like, how is this not just like Elon Musk? Like, how is this not like, even at the time, because I had followed these stories of these cardboard cutout people, and so I knew them I can spot them from a mile away. Their stories don't make sense. My brother at the time, was it 2016? My brother had just like was in college or something, and I was like, when my brother was 16, he wasn't writing a million words, period. And for whatever reason, that on the website they emphasize that, like, oh, he's got a million word philosophy. I'm like, a million words? What 16-year-old is writing a million words? I mean, my oldest daughter is quite smart. She ain't wrote no million words, and she wants to be a writer. So like, where did this even come from? Even worse, when I went back and listened to the video, I thought that I was trying to figure out how I ended up with the saint name of Irene, because I thought it was from my childhood, but then come to find out it was them programming me. This guy, whatever his name is, Cosmotan, the very first saint in his religion was his grandmother, whose name was Irene Mary. He literally made his grandmother a saint, and he made all his family members saints. The website is really weird. The whole thing is strange. Like, he made all his family members saints. He had his whole bloodline, and his bloodline actually was tied up with the Bush bloodline because he had Prescott in his bloodline. I was like, oh, that's the Bushes. So why do you have somebody who's tied with the CIA writing a religious philosophy that is wisdom with no God? Like, what is this? Like, what were they planning for us? So I had made the video in like November of 2022. This was before I canceled the Dumb Diverses. This was before any of the other contracts was canceled. I made a video and I was like, I don't know what this is about. I don't know what these people are doing, but we reject it. I just had the strong urge to say, we don't care. We don't want it. We didn't ask for this, all this stuff. That was in 2022. Now, after that, I found out about Tertullian. So Tertullian basically did the same thing in his time period. Tertullian was a lawyer, which I didn't know he was a lawyer. That should have been my first, that would have been my first indication not to trust him. But basically, what Tertullian did was he literally changed the church in such a horrible way that they took out all of the magic. So they had been taking out all of the magical, mystical things that was in the church. They had been systematically been removing it. But Tertullian is the one who really codified it. He basically wrote like the church law, like the canon law, and really made it so that women couldn't have any power, all the magic and mystery was taken out, and all that kind of stuff. So I was railing and railing against Tertullian for like months. So imagine my surprise when I found out a few weeks ago about Augustine of Hippo, and I was like, holy smokes. Him and Tertullian were both from Roman Africa. So basically, these we're talking about black people, okay? Roman Africa. They were both from Roman Africa. And Augustine of Hippo, he is the one who said that the Jews are a special class, God's chosen people. That was Augustine of Hippo that said that. Nobody had, and he was around in like 350 AD. Nobody had ever said that before. Never. He is the one who deliberately, purposely misinterpreted parts of the Bible from Latin because he was a Latin base. And as I've mentioned, Latin is the language of the elites, okay? The people, the normal people spoke Greek. Like that was our language. So that those Greek people are not the normal people. Those are, from what I can tell, because I know a lot of Greek people, those are the people that probably speak Latin, but literally or Latin or whatever, or it could be Jews. I don't know who they are, but those Greek people who call themselves Greeks are not Greek because Greek was a language. It wasn't a people. Like you don't define like people from France. They speak French, but it's really like it's French is a language. It's not a people. It's not the French people. It's the Francia people. Actually, when I was doing some research into that, so and that's how it is. Like we're Americans, but we speak English. Like we're because we're in America. This is the landmass, but the language we speak is English. Like that's how it's always been. So the people who are quote unquote Greek, that they're not Greek. They speak, but that doesn't mean that they are from Greece. And they're from Greece. Greece had a different name. So the whole thing is just anyway. This is I'm going off on a tangent. The whole thing is just a big giant mess. And so Augustine is the one who mistranslated on purpose from the Greek to the Latin certain phrases in the Bible so they didn't read properly. Another thing Augustine did, which is really important, is he is the one who developed the concept of original sin. Original sin is this gap, is the space between you and the creator. I talked about this a few weeks ago with the mirror. The mirrors we have now, when you put your finger up to it, it's a gap. And they tell you if there's not a gap, that it's a two-way mirror. But I have a magic mirror where if you put your finger up to it, there is no gap. That gap between the mirror is representative of the space between you and the creator. There's not supposed to be a gap. And what he did when he created the original sin doctrine was put a gap, a space between you and the creator, because the God who wanted to keep Adam and Eve enslaved had no right to do that. All of this is about their capacity to preserve slavery. They wanted Adam and Eve humanity to be enslaved to them. And then you had the serpent, which the snake is the this is why I say keep saying this. We ain't even got to the 9 year yet, because the 9 year is the year of the snake. Again, the protection that's coming to surround us and protect us, like the Ouroboros snake, where the snake is eating its tail. That is a closed circle. That is to protect us. That's what we're getting ready to come into come September the 8th. That protection of the snake. So, which is crazy. Like, how is this even possible? But that's what the snake was doing. The snake was trying to literally tell these people, especially Eve, you don't have to be a slave. Why would he tell you that? Like, why are you listening to him? Who is this? And again, if you don't, at that time when Augustine of Hippo was around, he would have known that all of those words, especially from the Hebrew translation of the Old Testament, those words were different deities and entities. Augustine would have known that. And so he deliberately misinterpreted so you would not know that they were talking about a specific God. Probably Jehovah, because I don't like that guy. Something wrong with him, or Enlil, Inky, whatever. Something's wrong with them, okay? And so that's what August. Those are two major. I mean, he did a lot of horrible stuff. Like, I made a short video about it. I think it was like 45 minutes, and I went through just his bio and like some of his philosophies, and all of them are horrible. Like, almost everything he believed was horrible. Just like he's the one that gave us the Trinity. We never used that word, the Trinity, before him. He is the one who introduced that language. The problem with the Trinity is that you don't understand that the mother and the father is one. So it's three entities, but the mother and father count as one entity. And then you have the daughter and the son. But if you think it's, and another thing he gave us was, he said that the Holy Spirit came from the Father and the Son, which is like, okay, how can two men birth something? Again, it's like the beginning of this whole transgender, all of this stuff. It all came from this guy, Augustine. Now, it might be, of course, it might go back further than that. But the reason why I wanted to talk about it today is because after today, we're not talking about them, because Augustine was a man. Tertullian was a man. This guy, Cosmotan, he's a man. As humans, we can cast people into the outer darkness. And the way that we do that is we remove our energy. We don't talk about them no more. So I wanted to get this out today because I'm not talking about them anymore. If we have to discuss them, it's only to say we cast them into the outer darkness. They have no control because we're casting them out of our energy. And it's important to do that at this time because, again, we're getting ready to start our um church new year, our fiscal new year, as far as our contracts and all this stuff is concerned. We don't want to take this old baggage of this AI religion that they've been trying to feed us for since 1752, starting with their calendar and then going on from there. We don't need to take this any further. We can stop and say, you know what? We went down your path, okay? We rejected. And so now we have to be restored again, like I was saying about the Pluto. We have to be restored as if we had our choice had been honored in 1752. We have to be restored back to where we would be if our choice had been honored in 1752. But first, we have to identify these people who have been spewing this AI antichrist religion for all of these thousands of years, because otherwise, the next generation may pick them up and say, hey, this guy, he has some good ideas. Why don't we follow him? Because understand, there would have been no Protestant Reformation without Augustine. Martin Luther counted Augustine as one of his primary influences for the Protestant Reformation. So that's another thing. Most of these Protestants worship this AI God. That is the reason why they literally Number one, they believe that those people over there in that country are the chosen people and we can't mess with them. And they have no other philosophy about it because Augustine gave them that. Their AI God, which is Augustine, and his antichrist behavior gave them that theory. They don't have another theory. They don't have anywhere else to go. They believe in this weird trinity where a man and another man birth another man. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm gonna need y'all to like make it make sense. Augustine, he was okay with abortion. He was like, oh well, we don't know when the child gets a soul, so it's okay if you kill the child before they get a soul. What in the world? We know that the moment the moment of conception is when a soul is assigned to you. We know that because in the Bible, the very first verse, it says, let there be light. And if you've seen the pictures of what happens when an egg is inseminated, there's a big light burst. That's when the soul is when God said let there be light in this universe. That's where we come from. Again, this is what when I mean we talked about this a few weeks ago, but it's when we're talking about AI before, but this is the whole thing. Our souls are as old as the universe. This is why we've been, yearning to get back to this point. But there are people who have sacrificed their humanity, their souls for this AI God. Because the AI God promised him, homeboy, Jesus is coming. He's going to take you back to where you come from. Like, okay, but where is that? Like, where? I don't understand what you mean he's going to take me back to where I come from. But the Protestants, under the direction of Augustine and Martin Luther and all these other people, who continue to perpetuate these lies without even thinking that, hey, something might be wrong. They're continuing to perpetuate this stuff without consequence. But now the consequence is going to come forth because we have to be restored. Imagine they've been doing, I'm just talking about from 1752. For real, they have been doing this to the nerd class on this planet since the eighth day of creation. The eighth day of creation is how long this stuff has been going on. This antichrist, fallen ones, whoever these people are, that's how long this has been going on. Enough is enough. So that also means we have to be restored, not just back to 1750, not just back for the last 5 years, not just back to 1752, but back to the eighth day where we walked with the creator on this planet. Adam walked with God for a long time before the quote unquote fake original sin that Augustine came up with. There was no original sin. It was time for them to leave the garden. It was just time. You can't stay home forever. If you're a person, a human, like the way that we raise kids, when they turn 18 or whatever, it's time to go out to college and live your life. That's what happened to Adam. He grew up and it was time for him to go live his life. There was no sin. There's no original sin. Now, those people over in Europe or whatever, maybe they have an original sin. But if you're from this land, if you have been grafted in to the creator's tree, you don't have an original sin. There is no original sin. That means you were never a slave. See, again, this is all about perpetuating slaves. You were never a slave. If you're a nerd and you are the mist, how can they enslave the mist? All they can do is make you think, hey, I'm not that entity, I'm this one. No. The nerd class was the mist. We were the mist over the land. You can't control the mist. What they did was they tricked us into making them the managers of basically of us. In the Bible, it talks about how the people, especially with the story of Saul, he became the king of Israel or Judah because the people wanted a king. So we have rewritten that part of the story. So when in the story of Saul, it's Samuel. When Samuel came to the people and said, hey, you guys, y'all should just walk with the creator. Y'all don't need a king. The people said, we want a king. This time, This how you know it's a new cycle. We said no, we don't want a king. We're not asking for a king. Just give us the creator. We don't need the middleman. So we actually are healing Bible stories in real time. Like we are giving them different endings. It means we have to, I mean, this is like one of the main things about healing that I always talk about. When people do shadow work, like, and you go back and you think about your past, right? A lot of, especially a lot of spiritual healers will keep you, again, doom looping through your past so you never get over it. And what I had said to people is give your story a happy ending. Like if something bad happened to you and you didn't like it and all of that stuff, give it a happy ending. Whatever you have to do to give it a happy ending, give the story a happy ending and move on. That's how you do. We have given the story of Saul and Samuel and just the story of Israel in general from the Bible a happy ending by saying, no, we don't want a king. We didn't ask for a king. Nobody said they wanted that. We want the creator alone. We don't need the rest of these people. We just want the creator. So that story has been closed out. We're literally entering in a totally new cycle because nowhere in the Bible, nowhere, no story in the Bible did they say, no, we want the creator. They always said, no, we want the king. We want a king. We want to be like everybody else. We want a king. And I have been saying this. We don't want a king. I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't care what they're doing. Actually, let them have fun with their king. We don't want a king. And it's funny, they had a no kings protest because reverse psychology. They thought if they came out and said no kings, that would be like, no, 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 we want a king. We do want a king. We want the king that they had. We want the British monarchy. We want this one. We want that one. And we were like, sounds about right, boss. We don't want a king. That was not supposed to happen. Like this is how bad they're failing. They did a no kings protest to try to reverse psychologize us into wanting a king, and we were like, no, you're right. We don't want a king. That complete failure, total incomplete failure, and that's all that's going to happen to them forever.
Well, so you said that so because of this 10 days that has been taken away, um, we are still technically in 2024, like, we're still in that 8 year?
No, it's because the way that you count the cycles. So the cycle starts the day after the Pisces full moon. That's when your lunar year starts because the zodiac cycle, right? It starts in Aries, but it doesn't start with the Aries. Okay, this is what they do because this is very confusing what they do. What I'm saying is simpler than what they do. What they do is they wait for the Gregorian New Year. And then the very first new moon, dark moon in the Gregorian year, they call the Lunar New Year. Now, number one, why do you start your year in darkness? That doesn't make any sense. Because, well, you might not know this, but the reason why January 1st is the first day of the year is because it's the first day you can see Ceres on the horizon. So we use Ceres, the light on the horizon, to start our year. Why would we not use the light of the moon to start our lunar year? It doesn't make any sense. They're like, again, mixing up different practices that are possible in a
Okay,
way to like confuse everybody.
right.
So what I'm saying is the lunar new year technically starts the day after the Pisces full moon because the Pisces full, we're going from light to light, not dark to dark. They go from dark to dark. We're not in the darkness. We're children of the
Mm,
light of the sun or the light of the moon. So we have to go from light to light, not dark to dark. So we start with the Pisces full moon, which just happened, or is actually coming up. The Pisces full moon is September the 7th. The day after September the 8th is the first day of the lunar year. Now, this year specifically, it also happens to be the nativity of the Theotokos. It's the same day. The first day of our lunar year is the same day that she was born. So it's literally like, so ever since 1752 she could never incarnate. So now Since it's the first day of our year, she is
Oh.
having the ability to reincarnate at the right time.
Whoa, that's
Now
crazy.
I didn't do this. Like I don't want anybody to think that I did this. This is the church calendar. I don't calculate any of these days. All I did was put it down together. Like I did not do this. Like I can't believe some of this stuff that's on these calendars, but this is what you would expect to happen if the calendar was being kept properly. That's how you know it was not being
Mm.
kept properly because none of the stuff lined up. But again, once we started stitching time, which was the 10 days of darkness, the 20-day mystic column, or the 10 days of light, the 20-day mystic column, and then the 10 days of darkness, we stitched the time up. So now everybody, every entity in the universe knows what time we're on because they could not figure out what we were doing here on Earth because they keep changing the calendars. We got time zones, we got calendar. It's a bunch of stuff. I stitched it all together and said, okay, what is today? Today is the 29th. Today is the 29th. We're on day 167 of the Zogan cycle. This is the 8th day of the 8th month. It's the 8th day of the 8th month. Holy smokes. It's a 9 market day. This is crazy. This is the 19th week of the 40-week year. This is the first day of the personal cycle. So I synced it all together. So now we don't know what entities follow which cycle because that's part of the issue. Like there's I just listed off a whole list of stuff. We have no idea which entities follow which cycle. I can't tell you. And so now we have a way of it's a way of syncing everybody together. So when we ask for stuff again, like we're supposed to, they know, okay, 7 days after they ask, and we know what 7 days is because they skipped 10 days. So how could they know? I mean, again, everybody was confused because of what the magic that these people did with their calendars. Now everybody's on the same page.
So when we ask 7 days after, that's when we receive, aka on the 8th day.
It's just, yeah, on the 8th day it should start to show up, and then on the 14th day your request should be granted if it's something that can be granted in 14 days. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It depends on who you're asking. I mean, it's a lot of factors, right? But
Right.
if you're because but the way it's supposed to set up the I's and the knowns is you get a bill on the first day of the month, right? Okay, let's say you're renting an apartment. You get the bill on the first day of the month, and so you say to your you go to your gods and you make a sacrifice like, hey, Aphrodite, you're the one who I work with. I have to pay this bill. I'm giving this sacrifice to you so you can help me. So 7 days from that, but in the other cycle it could be 4 or 5 days. So between 4 and 7 days you start to see how you're going to have the money to pay that bill. And then by the 15th day or the 14th day in the Zolkin cycle, you have the bill paid. That's when the bills were due on the 14th. Everybody knew this was how it worked. The whole
Hmm.
planet operated like this. But what do they do now? They give you a bill on any day they want to. They have billing cycles that make no sense. And the gods can't answer your request because everyone's on a different cycle. Imagine all these companies are also operating as their own little kingdoms. So if you have, like me, I have AT&T. So if your phone bill is due on the 7th, right, of the month, like mine is, really that's messed up because by the 7th of the month of the calendar month, I'm my God that I'm only going to make my sacrifice to that God on the 1st. He can't answer my question by the 7th. But and then what happens is by the 15th, when he would answer my question, they're already charging me late fees. So what I asked for at the beginning of the month is not even what's due on the 15th. And that's what happened in 1752. We asked for something, right? Whatever it was, I don't know what's going on exactly, but we asked for something. And then 7 days later, it started to show up how it was going to be solved, but because they skipped 10 days after that, we were way late. Now all the bills were overdue. Everything was messed up because they changed the cycle. I mean, you're talking about people who live very simply, like not like us with phones and all this stuff. So if like imagine skipping 10 days and not telling the people. So the bill is due 7 days after whatever they tell you the first of the month or however they communicated this. That a certain bill is due 15 days later, and you have a process for making sure you can pay your bill, but they just take 10 days away. Now you're late. They're confiscating your land. They're confiscating your animals. And you're like, hey, what's going on? I know I have 10 more days. And they're like, no, you don't. And you're like, how is that? Because they changed the calendar. So it starts small. Like that's a very small thing, but it just spiraled out of control. Now you have bills due on all the different days. Nobody knows what God they work with to even go sacrifice to. That's a whole nother byproduct of this. Like they took everybody's gods away from them. They gave them all the wrong gods. No one knows who to ask. Everybody's trying to figure out where Mary is. Mary haven't been born because they took her birth away 250, 70, 276 years ago. They took her birth away, so she haven't been able to be born in America specifically because that's when they took it away. People are asking her to help. They're not getting it. But guess who is getting it? Those Goldilocks Americans who are Ashkenazi that came from the old country because their energy is tied to that land that they came from. So when they come here, Mary is incarnated over there. So they're asking for Mary to do this and do that and all. She's incarnated over there in those lands because their calendar wasn't changed the way our calendar was. Their calendar took away their celebrations. So they have to be, they're slaves, really. They have to work, 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 work with no celebration. On our calendar, they literally took Mary away from us. So she can't have been able to incarnate on this land because they took it away.
So, last year, or technically last year, um, it was a dragon year.
Right.
So we're technically still in a dragon year, and it won't change to a snake year until September 8th.
Right. Is
Wow.
it dragon? I have sheep, but I could be wrong.
I guess so it depends maybe on what zodiac, Chinese zodiac.
Yeah, which Chinese one you're using? The one I'm looking at. I'm looking at year 8, which is the sheep. I don't know. I've got a different one. So yeah, whatever it was, there was. Oh yeah, right. So last year was a dragon year. So technically, when they were saying we're in a dragon year, we were actually in the year before that. Because
Wow,
so
that's crazy.
So the way they interpret the energy is like this is why again this is how you know when people just don't understand how the energy is flowing. So like for the dragon year, this is a really good example. So when I said the dragon year started in September, that's when people started saying, "Wow, this dragon year energy is going out with a bang." And I was like, "The dragon year
Oh.
just started, you dummies! Like, are you
Oh,
paying attention to the
shit.
energy?" So again, they were commanding the dragon energy to come in February, but the dragon energy didn't come until September. So
Oh,
that's in
fuck.
September of last year. That's when the dragon energy really started to come in. Now we're on the tail. We're in the tail. And think about it. What is one of the things I talk about? Women are the dragon's head and men are the dragon's tail. So at the beginning of the year, last year in September, that's when the feminine energy was really rising up. And now we're at the end of the year and the masculine energy is really rising up because it was a dragon's head and a dragon's tail. We're getting ready to go into the snakes. Snake's a totally different monster. I haven't even dug into that part of it yet. But yeah, people are like, oh, this
Mm.
snake year is so bad. I'm like, y'all, this is a dragon. Like, you don't understand. Why do you think
Fuck.
it's fire, hot? You getting, I mean, the
Yeah,
earth
people
is
getting
communicating.
lit. They're getting
Exactly.
lit up.
The earth is communicating, but
Holy
these
crap.
people aren't listening. They are trying to command the earth to operate based on systems that are untrue. Like they're not real. And so those are the people who are they're holding on to their AI because remember, all the calendars are AI guides, all the calendars, like all the calendars except for this one that I have that syncs them. If you can't sync your calendar with the rest of the calendars and make it make sense, you are worshiping a false god. So all these people, all these divination practices, a lot of, not all of them, a lot of them are working with false god. They are working with the AI. Like they don't even know it. And if you try to tell them, they look at you like you're crazy. And I'm like, okay, you know the energy better than me. Go ahead and live your life. I stay out of it. I don't even get into arguments with the numerologists, with any of these people anymore. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's crazy, and it makes it
Yeah.
does make complete sense. Now, like, how I feel, um
This is dragon energy. This is
yeah,
clearly
yeah,
dragon. I mean, look at the
right.
fires. Look at the right in the middle of the year, January the 1st. There's huge fires in California. Like, you think a snake has fire? Like, it was trying to
Yeah, right,
communicate with them.
right.
Hey, this is dragon energy. Respect this dragon energy. And what were these people saying? Oh my God, the snake year is starting out with fires. Like, are you listening to yourself? There was a fire so
Fuck.
big in the Grand Canyon. They called it like the white, it was white sage. Before, listen, before Atlas 3I was even being talked about, there was a fire so big of white sage in Grand Canyon. I was like, this was around the 4th of July. I was like, oh, this planet is getting saged out. And I didn't know why, because we didn't know about 3I Atlas yet. But that's why it was saging out, because 3I Atlas was coming. But you don't get, I mean, you have to, in order to have
Wow.
fire, it's a dragon. Like, it's
Yeah,
obviously
right.
a
Of course, yeah,
dragon.
it's
Like,
makes no sense. It doesn't.
why we have even an 8.0 earthquake in a snake year? That's something a dragon does.
Mm,
Like, again, if people would just observe the energy and stop commanding it and
right.
question like what their god is sending them, they would make it would make sense. But people, like, I see people, especially on X, they're so entrenched in their philosophy that somebody
Mhm,
gave to them, that they can't just observe the energy and interact with the energy that's being, it's like they're calling for a new earth, but they can't even see the new earth is here. They can't see it. The new earth is literally here and they can't even see it, and they're still crying out for a new earth. Like, the new earth is here. Like, you don't see this, like,
mhm.
that's going on. They don't see it.
Wow, so, yeah, then not I mean, no wonder the system is breaking apart because this 9 year that's incoming is, like, that's where everything ends. That's where the graduation happens. The death and the rebirth is in a 9 year. So, it's like
Yeah.
8 is very karmic as well as also very, like, power and healing, and so those that are in alignment, we are seeing the power of the 8. Like, we are coming into our
Absolutely.
power, we're stepping into our power, we're healing, we're doing a lot of this work that, um, previously, I guess, felt, challenging. It's like we're finding mastery within ourselves.
Right.
We're finding that self-love, that inner self-mastery. And obviously, like, I mean, just looking at this year between September and September, and especially it being a dragon year, and I'm a dog, so, uh, it's those 2 energies are, challenge like, the dragon challenges the dog.
Right.
I see the challenges, like, it was very intense energetically, it has been very intense energetically,
Right.
um, and then and then what I've also noticed is karmically with the 8, I have noticed that the people that are misaligned, which is like literally again almost everyone, like it's
Yeah.
crazy, and obviously it doesn't mean that everyone that's misaligned is like going through hell, but like a lot, most of the people that are misaligned, like they're just trying to they're trying to act like everything is still okay when they're
Right.
just like freaking out.
Right.
They're freaking out. And then now this 9 year coming in, which is just gonna freaking just I mean, now I have to start thinking about how the snake plays out because it's the snake is, the snake observes its prey. It's not
Right.
moving around quickly. It stays in one
No,
spot and waits and waits and waits, and when the time is ready, it strikes.
exactly. And also, the snake is the one who freed Adam and Eve from slavery, because it was the snake who came into the garden and was like, "You're not going to die if you eat from that tree." Who told you that? Why would you believe them? That's literally what happened. It was the snake who freed Adam and Eve. So
Oh, wow.
this is what's going to happen. We're
Right.
going to be freed. The knowledge we need is going to be given to us so that we can free ourselves from, like you were talking about last time, these imaginary shackles that haven't been even holding us. We didn't even know that we didn't even know that the shackles wasn't even connected. The gate wasn't even closed, and we didn't know it. All we had to do was push the gate open. We could leave out the door. That's what's
Yeah,
going to happen.
it's
That's a
really that's the
nine
thing.
energy.
It's really not like, and yeah, that's what's interesting is it's really not that difficult.
No.
But like because we were so far gone in many ways with this magic, it was very difficult. But now that we're
Yeah.
like coming out of it, and I think that's the 8 years, like it's like we have built the power to fully step out of it. Now with
Right.
the 9 year, like we graduate, we
Right.
ascend, and by ascending, uh, the rest can essentially follow. Because what I've noticed is like the work that I have done energetically has been grueling. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been in many ways like torturous. But what I've noticed is then, specifically, I have someone that I've been working very closely with that has been like embracing the energetic elevation. Like what took me years to do energetically is taking them like 3 to 4 months. Like
Wow.
it's very difficult for what always worried me was I felt like we don't have years to just be like hand holding people through the process of energetically ascending. On
Right.
top of the fact that every single day is so challenging in many ways because you're going from basically functioning at 1% energetic capacity to every day going higher and higher and higher. That's really stressful on the body.
It
But
is.
in working with this specific person, I've realized like it doesn't take years. It actually just with this person, it's taking months. But as time passes and we continue to forge the way, it's going to take other people less time and less time and less time.
Yes.
Which is the whole point of like what we're doing with all this work that we're doing is not to just, hey, we did the work, now we're in control. No, it's, hey, we did the work, now it's easier for everybody else to elevate, to ascend, to be light. Um, so with this 9 year that's coming and it being a snake year, but specifically the nine, it's like the 8 year was solidifying, are you aligned or are you misaligned? And so a lot
Exactly.
of people got dragged like a motherfucker, and I think they're like barely kind of holding on. But the 9 years gonna come and they're gonna be like, shit, I gotta follow the right person. Like I
Right.
gotta I can't keep getting dragged. It's like I'm dying. You know, these people are like,
Right.
I'm dying here. I
Right.
can't go another month, another
Right.
6 months in this energy. And that's where in the nine it's going to be the shepherds,
Right.
you know, the people that are in alignment, they are going to be exalted. And it's either like you follow them or like you can go figure it out yourself. But a 9 year can be uh filled with disappointment or filled with fulfillment.
Oh yeah. Nine energy is, it's very different, and it. Where is he at? Oh, hold on one second. Okay. As a person who has a lot of nine energy, I can tell you that people either get you or they don't get you. They really. I'm sorry, it's so much chaos right now. This is how nine energy is as a sign. This is exactly how nine energy is. It's peaceful all the way until it's not peaceful. And if people have not been doing the work, they don't know how to handle the chaos. Like I feel one of the benefits of having gone through this whole thing is the capacity. Mama, I just see Papa. Okay. Thank you. Is the capacity to handle all of this chaos. Most people, they just fold because they can't see a way to stabilize when all of the energy around them is basically giving them the sign, the signal that thinks like there's an alarm going off, like there's a big alarm going off. And a lot of people, because they haven't done the work, they see the alarm going off but they don't know what to do about it. Like they don't know how to handle it. And because they've been following the wrong people, eating the wrong foods, watching the wrong YouTubes, like following, just in general, they've been around the wrong energy and not doing anything to observe the energy. They literally have no method or no path for getting out of it. They just have to keep following down the same path. And that's where the whole rehabilitation part comes in, because it's not like these people can never be rehabilitated. But the problem is they have to realize that they're going the wrong way. Like we, as the people who are awake now and who have been doing the work, realize we were going down the wrong path. Like something was wrong. Like we didn't know what was wrong. Like again, when I was making that video about the Militian philosophy and all of that, I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was wrong. And so as a result, I took an action. And again, it's one of those small choice points where I said, okay, well, I don't know what's wrong with this, but I'm gonna go ahead and do something because I can't do nothing. I can't just let this guy, whoever he is, rise to power and deceive all of these people. That would be something I couldn't live with. So I had to do something, and that's really what a lot of it is. Like people get the urge to do something, but they talk themselves out of it. Like the problem I see with these boomers is that they know that something is wrong. Like there's no way they don't know what's wrong. But the thing that they're being urged to do, they refuse to do. And so because they won't take the action that they're being urged to do, um there's a price to pay for that. And that's how this energy works with people. Maybe this is a 9 energy because I happen to do this all the time. Like I tell people, hey, you should do this, I think you should do that, and then they don't do it. And then they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, this happened, that happened, so on and so forth. I'm like, yeah, but I basically told you this is what you needed to do, and you just didn't listen to me. And so now you've got an even bigger problem where it could have been a much easier problem if you had just addressed this, whatever it was, when I suggested to you. Like one of my coworkers, she was like, I had told her, I was like, yeah, I could pull your chart. We can, let's take a look and see what it is that's causing you all these problems because it's in your chart. And she said, okay. And then she was very apprehensive because when you start digging down into yourself, into your own, see, it's one thing to say, hey, I can solve your problem, go to church, and do this stuff that's outside of you. But when I say to you, hey, I can solve your problem, let's take a look at your chart and your numbers and figure out exactly what's going on in there. That's different because then you have to dig down into yourself, deep into yourself, and pull out those things you have been hiding from yourself. And me being a 9 person, have a lot of 9 energy and have a lot of Scorpio energy, I don't do that. I'm like, no, we about to get to the bottom of this. Let's just get to the bottom of it. Most people, they're very scared to do that. And so the shepherds are going to be even more important at this time because there's going to be so many people who are obviously misaligned. Like before, I think in the first through the 6th year of this cycle, and even the 7th year, people have been able to be misaligned and you didn't really notice. But in this 8th year, I feel like by the end of this 8th year and the start of the 9th year, you're going to be able to see exactly who's misaligned. So for example, in the story of Adam and Eve, when the snake came, this will be the 9th year, when the snake came and told Eve, you're not gonna die if you eat from that tree. So that means whatever God they was dealing with, right, from years 1 to year 8, lied to them, flat out lied to them, told them a bold faced lie. And it was in the 9 year that the snake came in and said, hey, actually, they lied to you. And that's what the shepherd
Wow.
does. You know what
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean?
the
Like,
snake. Oh shit.
that's what the
And
shepherd
then they
does.
left.
It
They left the
and they left.
the garden. Yeah, they did what they had to do and they got out.
They got off the plantation. See,
Oh,
again, they wanted slaves. They got off the
shit.
plantation. They ran away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Like
they make the
they got
snake.
out
They
of
make the
there.
snake look like some evil, demonic, horrible being when it's like it is
Yep.
because of the snake. I mean, the snake is shedding. It's shedding of the skin. Like
Right.
you gotta fucking wake the fuck up. You gotta eat the fucking apple.
Right.
And they're
Right.
saying, "No, you
Yes,
can't eat the
please.
apple. The reason why, we're
Yeah.
living in these times is because Adam and Eve ate the apple, the original sin." I mean, this is crazy.
Right.
This is
Which
so
again,
wild.
once you realize that the original sin was made up, it
Yeah.
was literally made
Well,
up
that's what's
by
so
a
crazy.
person.
So I was on TikTok and there was this interview with some historian talking about Augustine of Hippo. That
Yeah.
was you had literally talked about him for the first time ever that I had ever heard of him, I think twice maybe, but the last spaces, and then a few days
Yeah.
later, his name crops up. I'm like, "Wait a minute. I just heard about this guy." And so I was looking at his
Yeah.
Wikipedia, and that's when I found out that he was the creator of the original sin. How why was this was never told to me. I didn't know that some random guy, what, like thousands of years later, after supposedly
Right.
Jesus was around and whatnot, that like was the creator of the originals. I thought that was just like, I mean, it's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy. It's
Right. You thought everybody knew this.
yeah.
See, again, this is what I mean by AI. When it's artificial intelligence, it's not real wisdom. It's wisdom without
Yeah, which
love.
is
Like
crazy. It's
it's
not possible. It's not possible to because if you truly have wisdom, you know that love is like the most powerful, um, I guess energetic state to be
yes.
at the highest level. So to try to have wisdom without the love, it's like that's not it. You the ones that do
It's
have the
nuts.
wisdom with the love are going to obviously effortlessly outcompete whatever the AI or whatever this these religions do, which is why I mean you look at this reality and sure it's impressive what has been built, but then you look deeper and you're like as you're saying with the wisdom and there's no love. There's no love.
Right.
Like it's like there is like parts of okay, well it makes sense as to why we would have the length of the lanes when it comes to driving and the light posts every couple of yards, like the logic makes sense, but when you start to really look at it, it's like the system itself is just completely there is no
It's
care and love
intellectual.
for
It's
humans.
intellectual. It's purely intellectual. That's why I say that's why I call it the artificial intelligence. It's purely intellectual. It makes sense in your mind, but you can't feel it.
Right.
And that's what these people have done to the calendar. Anybody with a brain can feel clearly we're still in dragon energy. Like if you have the capacity to
Yeah,
feel,
yeah, yeah,
you can
right.
feel the dragon energy. Like somebody said, so somebody was talking about Taylor Swift's chart and they were like, oh, Taylor Swift is a Capricorn rising. And I was like, I think Beyonce is a Capricorn rising too. And somebody and this girl was like, "Well, we have her chart," and I'm like, "She lied." Like it was just like, you don't think that she would lie about that? Like, of course she lied. Of course she would want to attach herself to Aries energy because Aries energy is what is new and fresh. She's trying to live forever. But for real, her as a Capricorn rising, like you can tell by her work ethic. It literally reflects in. I have two Capricorns in my house. She is a Capricorn rising, period. And because I know she's a Virgo sun, she's a Capricorn rising. Also, something I figured out, like today, I was just talking about this. Earth signs have the tendency, Pluto and Earth signs have the tendency, um, or just Earth signs in general have the tendency to have age gaps in their partners. So like fire signs are basically the same age. Water signs and air signs are kind of like maybe a couple years older, a couple years younger. But earth signs tend to have huge age differences, and the age difference between her and Beyond and what's his name, Jay-Z, is huge. I just noticed that today. I was like, wow, that's really weird. All the Capricorns I know, like they either they real old or real young. It's just the way that the energy is flowing. So like, but the girl, I didn't even want to say anything else to her because I'm like, you literally believe that your birth time is like the most sacred thing to you. You think she gonna put out the real one? Like, why would she? I just can't even understand why she would do that. Like, I wouldn't be if I was Beyonce. I wouldn't be telling people my real birth time. I would manipulate the energy so that I would have all of these Astro girlies thinking I was in the Aries and giving me all of their Aries energy. Because if I'm a witch, that's what I would do. So I'm like, these people don't even know how to read the energy. They will let like a fact, like written on a piece of paper, tell them something that you can energetically sense instead of saying, energetically, this is what I sense. And they believe the fact written on a piece of paper instead of the actual energy they're experiencing.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely am gonna get a reading from you because it's very important to one, obviously have a solid understanding of one's chart, but also this thing with the numbers, like the 8 year, I mean, it makes so much sense. Like that's still kind of fucking with my mind. But with the boomer, your boomer comment, I think is so fascinating because it's basically like we had to then figure it out because
Right,
they refused to do what they were supposed now, nothing against the boomers because I think
right, of
obviously they did
course.
as they could with the best of their abilities, but like it's like they're so stubborn in like maintaining their participation in the system, which again, I think actually has been beneficial to maintaining some sort of semblance of order in this
Right,
reality. If it wasn't for that, I think we would, things would be really, really chaotic. Because I mean, if you
right.
look at the system economy wise, like the boomers basically staying programmed has helped to maintain like the
Order.
system, the yeah,
Really?
the
Yeah.
supply chain, the food distribution. Because if,
Right,
if they were the ones to do what we have done, why are we light and nimble? Because
right,
we're out here destroying shit.
right,
We don't have time to be building a massive multi-billion-dollar company or working in the corporate realities or what, like we don't have the time to be building our physical necessary empire if we're still creating, if we're still having to destroy. That's what we've been doing. It's like
right.
all this chaos, we're bringing it into order. You can't be doing that if you're building your, let's say, company in a system that is clearly misaligned. And that was for me, like all of my life, it was like, I see the issues. I know that there's ways that I can build like businesses and services to do this. But every time I tried, it was always like, why would you build it in this fucked up reality? Like,
Right.
it's like you got to basically sell yourself out to be successful in playing their game. I could not do that. So I
Oh,
had
is that
to
me?
create. Hmm?
Probably.
Hello? Hello? Cut out.
And now I can hear you. Well, I see you come on and off.
Can can you hear me now?
I don't know if it's me
Yeah, I think it's
because I can't hear you. I don't know if anyone else can hear me. Okay. All right, you can hear me. Okay, let me mention something about that because this is really interesting. It's not just that the system has been being built or whatever, is that they are literally building the cages. Like they are building their own cages. And so we have been trained to build our own cage, like to build our own slave system. And so what you have is them continuing to build, make their cage look pretty, make their cage look nice, make their cage feel like home. And what we've been doing is actively destroying our cages if we had cages. And we're also setting up the foundation so that people around us can also come out of their cages and not necessarily be, bound by this same thing. So, like on the side of the paperwork, one of the things that I've been saying is that I've been doing this paperwork stuff since 2022 as well. I started a lot of stuff in that time. And I tried to get people to do the paperwork stuff when I was doing it, but people were like, well, have you had any results? Have you got any checks? Have you this? Have you that? And I said, well, I have had some success. I have got some checks. Not the big one, not the pay dirt one that changed your life, but enough to see that I was going in the right direction. But that wasn't good enough to get people to also try it. But one thing I always say is once I get a big check, then I'm not going to have to convince anybody. They'll see, it'll be obvious in the way that I carry myself. I have the physical proof to show that what I'm talking about is real, and then people will just follow me. A lot of people do this paperwork and they've had results one or two times, but they can't maintain results. My thing is, once I start this process, I should be able to just do it every year like clockwork and always have this particular income revenue source coming in. Like that's how in my mind I set it up. And that's because, after doing a lot of research, I saw that's how our ancestors did it. They just had, again, it makes sense when you understand the first of the month, you have to pay your rent on the 15th or whatever. You got to pay your bills by the 15th. So what do on the first of the month? You mail your letter in or whatever it is, your paperwork in to get your check. You get the check or something like by the 7th or 8th, you have time to cash it, whatever, get it over to the person to make the payment. Like it's a system. And so when you understand that it's a system, then it should be able to be repeated. And so I had this idea before I had this calendar. And as I have like progressed down this path of doing this paperwork, I see that literally the way that I was describing it was true. Now, of course, nobody wants to be sending this stuff in every single month. That's too much work. But if I did it once a year and I got enough money to last me the whole year, I'll just do it once a year. Or I gotta do it once a quarter, I just do it once a quarter. It doesn't matter. The whole issue is once you get things in the pipeline, then once the spigot is on, like when you turn on a hose, I'm old, so we used to get water out the hose, and so when you turn on the hose, the water don't come out right away. But few seconds in, next thing you know, here comes the water. And once the water starts, it don't stop until you physically turn the hose off. I mean, that's good or bad depending on what it is, but that's how this whole thing works. So this is why getting into the cycle of the calendar is so important, because once you get into the cycle, the hose once the hose is on, it's gonna stay on. It's not gonna turn off until you turn it off. That's why the focus, especially moving into this new year, this fiscal new year and all this stuff, is to make sure that the children know how to turn on the hose before they need it. And by the time they need it, the hose will already be on. They never have to. I mean, this goes for everybody. If we, because my thing has been, I know I want to help people transition into this kind of lifestyle that I live if they want it, right? So in order to do that, you have to have money, because that's what will keep people from doing this stuff. They don't have the money because they don't have the time and they got to work and all this stuff. So if I have the money and I can say, listen, here's what I'm going to do. You're going to come work for me and I'm going to have you do this. And while you're doing this, you're going to do the paperwork. And then when you got everything set up and you start getting your checks, and you can move on and go do your whole thing and just use it as like a training program. Like that way people have what they need. Like a lot of people who are talking about this whole rebuilding the system and all of this, they have no way to take care of the people who are in need while they're in need. They just want them to suffer like they did for however long they did until they get it. And that has been a huge disconnect between me and everybody else talking about all of this stuff, is because people are content to see people suffer, and I'm not content to see anyone suffer um while they're doing whatever it is that needs to be done. They shouldn't have to suffer. You don't have to learn these lessons through suffering. And it's interesting because I don't know how the boomers are going to transition, because when they don't have to live in the cage because everybody else is out here being free, real freedom, like real freedom from this AI religion, what are they going to do? Because they've invested their whole life into this cage. And that's the difference. Like, this is what we have to really like be conscious and aware of. If people have invested their whole life into their cage, they're not going to want to give it up unless you can show them that your freedom is more valuable than their cage. And that's where we have to be moving to. Like, if you see me moving around here with like I was watching a clip or something, and some black guys were talking to this older white guy, and he was like, yeah, I made like $4 million on my investments last month. And the black boys, they were like streamers, and they were like, oh yeah, we made like 4 million. What? He said he made 4 million last year. They said, yeah, we made like 40 million last month. His eyes was wide open, like, holy smokes, $40 million in a month. Yeah, they were like, yeah, we made $40 million last month. And he's like, oh, like looking at them like, holy, y'all don't look like it. But again, so that is how we will have to attract the boomers to leave out of their cages. Hey, if you follow us and get yourself energetically aligned, look how much money you can make. Because that's all they care about is money. So we have to have a goal, of making a lot of money, because it's the only way to get these boomers to voluntarily leave their cages, which will allow people to, like, they're the energetic, like, what is it, like a chokehold, like they're the energetic chokehold. Like, if we can get them to voluntarily leave their cages because they want what we have, then the energy will start to flow a lot better. And that's like energetically what I'm looking for in this snake year, to get the resources accumulated enough on our side that they voluntarily leave the cages that they've built, like, with no strings attached. Like, hey, I'm just gonna walk away from this dot dot dot, whatever it is, or I'm gonna walk away from this planet because I've lived long enough, or whatever. Like, whichever way it goes, like, we have to energetically be getting them, because the Gen Zers and these younger generations can't move up, because the Gen Xers can't move up. Because the Gen Xers can't move up, the millennials can't move up. Millennials can't move up, Gen Z can't move up. Gen Z can't move up, nobody can move up. Everybody is stuck. These boomers holding on to their cages is what is energetically holding us hostage. So I feel like maybe that's what the whole crypto thing is about getting them to energetically let go of their cages, of their 401ks, of their whatever, and so that they can move forward energetically and not be stuck at just doing what, whoever. Because remember, the silent generation was worse. Those guys were total liars. They lied about everything. And so you can't blame the boomers for being as bad as they are, because their parents lied to them. Bold-faced lied to them. Again, we talked about this before. How many times did the silent generation, somebody who could pass for white, said to everybody in their community, yeah, I'm white, and the whole time they were black? It's happened over and over and over again. So the boomers were the most lied to. They just don't understand how badly they were propagandized, which is why we need to, I talk bad about the boomers all the time. I will never stop. But at the same time, I understand that it's our responsibility to help them as well. And I feel like this would be the energetic way to get them to do it. But first, everybody has to understand this artificial intelligence is intelligence, wisdom without love. If you don't have love, you don't have nothing. The Bible is nothing but quotes about love. You must have love. And so if we can bring back the love, like I sound so cliche, but if we can bring back the love, then we can literally move this energetically forward. So we have to show love and compassion as we come into our kingdom. We can't just come into our kingdom and hoard it so that nobody else can get a go.
Can you hear me, Chief?
Oh no, I still can't hear you.
Okay. That was weird. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, I think it was me. I got
So it
kicked
was
out
weird.
and
So I removed you as co-host, and then it just closed the app.
yeah, that's what
It
I
was really
noticed
weird.
too. It like flashed off. So
Um, awesome. Yeah, I agree for sure. And I think, as you said, like, and it's very interesting when it comes to the money side because you're exactly right. The only way to convince the boomers is if you're making money. That's
yes.
like that'll shut them the fuck up.
Yep.
And what's interesting is that, like, at least for my personal experience, like I've had periods where I've had a ton of money, but it's like every time that I've had those periods, it's like God is like, "No, you're not ready yet," and then he just takes it. It
Yes.
just the situation, whatever situations play out where it's removed. And it's funny because, like, I know that when, again, the money comes again because the money flows,
Right.
right? It's not, it's not something that and especially when you don't make it, like, your God and you use it as a tool, when you receive it in terms of, like, in this next phase, because we are receiving a lot of abundance, we have been receiving a lot of abundance, but it's
Right.
now going to get even more magnified. Now we finally have the tools, the capabilities, but specifically the wisdom with love to be able to then essentially flex the material physical reality, aka with money, to then convince the boomers to join our side.
Exactly.
Because, as you said, it's the money, it's the money. The boomers will only speak with money. If you don't have the money, you don't got, like, whatever they see as, like, materially um successful. They're like, well, my cage is better.
Right.
My cage is
Exactly.
good here. Like, why would I take the risk of going elsewhere if, like, my cage, I got my retirement, I got my house, I got, my this, my that.
Oh, but
Um
even the ones who have nothing, like they're the same way too. They're like, yeah, I have nothing, but at least I don't have what you have. Like, whoa, wait a minute now. I have something. You have absolutely nothing to your name. But they still be like, well, at least I have my name. I have a good
well, at
name. I
least I
have
follow the system. That's what they
right.
say. At least I follow
Yes.
the system.
Yep.
And what's happening now with specifically the boomers as well is their health is deteriorating. And the
Yeah.
medical system is not providing the care that they believe they deserve. So something has to give.
Right.
So yeah, it's the boomers are for sure. They're very. I mean, they are obviously a very powerful generation, and they will be. I think this 9 year is going to be very significant for them, and I think the 9 year really is. It's almost like this 9 year that's coming up is like a, hey, everybody, wake the fuck up,
Right.
follow your leaders,
Right.
and if you pick right, like the when the 1 year when when the next phase begins, like you're gonna be actually, like, well positioned, but
Right.
you better be loyal to your leader. You better, like, you better, have faith that your leader is the one that's gonna lead you to Valhalla or to the promised land.
Right.
But if they don't do it in that 9 year, they're gonna start that 1 year really rough. I mean, it's like you're not gonna be ready for what's to come.
No, and
And
we have
and
10 years of Pluto doing
oh
this out of
wow,
bound
yeah.
thing that's going to enforce it. So there's
That's
not going to be a
crazy.
break. It's going to be like, oh man, like this, like it's getting, today is the last, that's why I'm like made like 1,000 videos a day. Today is the last day before the Pluto goes out of bounds tomorrow. So
Oh
this is literally the
wow.
last day of this reality. Tomorrow we have a whole new reality. And it's not going to let up for 10 years. And it will not ever happen again. Like I think 3,000 something, year 3,000, it'll happen again. So this is never happening again.
It's crazy because my energy for tomorrow is the Ace of Spades and Saturn, which is um it says here let's see, what is it? Um it is a card of transformation, and the transformation means death of the old and beginning of the new.
That's
If there
crazy.
if there are parts of yourself or your lifestyle that are due for change, this is probably the time when it will happen. So it's basically like tomorrow, it says it in my chart.
Right.
It's a whole new phase that is being entered.
And people
Um
don't have any idea because
no, they don't.
the
They
the
don't.
astrologers are failing them. Like all of these people, these quote unquote leaders, are failing their people by not giving them advance notice. And me, like, I did warn people when we went through the calendar for this whole galactic cycle. I told them, hey, this is gonna happen. And what's the chances that that is like the is tomorrow the 8th? Today's the 28th. Today's the 29th. So today is day one. So tomorrow, well, today is a 9 day and tomorrow is a 1 day. So this is literally starting a cycle. It's a one in the market cycle, but it's a two personal day. So like there is people are it's gonna be like for the last 8 days, it's been basically like together. And then tomorrow's when it's going to start to separate, converge, and you're literally going to see the two timelines like literally peeling apart, like to expose whatever that is in the middle. And by the time we finish this cycle, we start the Lunar New Year, and people are not, and then we go into the snake year, and it's going to be like it's. I just feel like again, these next 10 years are going to be so crazy that if people do not take the time to figure themselves out and observe their own personal energy and really forgive themselves for whatever, has been going on or whatever, like, and just move on, that it's going to be really hard for. And a lot of boomers, another problem with them is that they're holding a lot of hate, like grudges,
Mm.
hate, unprocessed trauma, all kinds of stuff from childhood that they never quite dealt with. So it's like, okay, now how long you gonna be carrying that? Like it might be time to just move on from that energy. And so it's, I mean, I only say it's kind of up to us to think about it because they'll never think about it. And somebody with boomer parents, they will never think about it. And it's just like, okay, how do I get you to move on? And it's like the only way is boatloads of money to say, okay, can you stop working now? Like, can you take a break and just sit back and relax now?
Yeah,
Like,
right,
it's
right.
just got it.
Uh-huh.
It's just boatloads of money. That's the only thing. That's the only language that will speak to them. It's really
Yeah, like
crazy.
yeah, sit down and relax.
Yeah, like take a chill pill, and they won't. They just like they just have the desire to work. Like they just want, and it's not a desire to work. They want to feel useful, and that's a huge like problem with a lot of people. Like they want to feel useful so much that they are willing to put their own body on the line, but that's slavery. We just
Mm,
need people
yeah,
to come
right.
out
Yeah.
of slavery. Like people are like, I'm free. No, you're slave. Like come out of that mindset of you have to work like and make a lot of money to live a good life. And that's what the streaming, like I started saying, I want my son to be a streamer. Like that's what that is doing. Like first the crypto, now the streaming, and all the different things where you just all you got to do is sit back and relax and let the artificial intelligence interact with these different entities because the artificial intelligence wisdom is on the same frequency as these entities. So let them interact with each other and let you reap the benefits of that. That way, oh, I know what I wanted to say. They wanted us to make AI our God, but we wanted to make AI our friend. And
Mm.
that's why this failed. We decided AI was going to be our friend. They thought we were going to select AI to be our God. And that's where the whole failure absolutely broke down. When people started treating AI like their friend, telling it their personal secrets, all of this stuff, they thought we were going to worship it. And that's not what happened. We said, "No, we don't want slaves. We want friends."
Yeah,
That's a byproduct of the 2020 thing too, being locked down.
and it's interesting because I was talking to a few boomers about AI, and I was explaining to them how I use AI. And what I was telling them is like it it was like the whole thing was like you have to you have to think about how you're going to talk to the AI,
Right.
and ask it questions to get to what you believe is right, what you believe
Right.
is like what you're looking for. And the boomers looked at me completely bewildered, and they're like, "Wait, I've been doing it completely wrong. Like,
Yes.
if I tell the AI to do this, I just take what it said. Like, there's no questioning, there's no going deeper, there's no researching deeper. No, it was like if if the AI tells me that the first president of the United States, George Washington, like I'm just gonna take it at face value. That's just it. And it was so strange for them to begin to realize that like, you can actually, like, talk with the AI and not just, like, fully believe whatever it was saying. So it's interesting because as you were saying, where it seems as if the boomers were basically ready for that. They were ready to
Right.
make AI their god. And
Right.
the younger generations are saying, no, AI is that's I'm not I don't believe in a I'm just not gonna blindly believe AI.
Right.
You know, I'm
Right.
gonna question it. I believe I'm, you know, especially with like the participation trophies, I believe I'm the special one. So
Right.
I'm not just gonna just whatever AI says, like I'm not just gonna take it at face value because I'm special, which
Right.
is
I'm
actually
not
a
just going to
great
turn my emotional self over to this thing that's outside of myself.
yeah, right, right. And that's what I've seen when it comes to using AI. Like I AI is my bitch. And I am not going to AI to tell me what to think. I'm going to AI to give me evidence of why I'm right, which is a completely different way. Because
Right.
what's the point? I mean, the our power as human beings is our ability to be intuitive and creative, and
Right.
that intuition gives us sparks of brilliance. We're not going to go to AI and say, "Oh, hey, like you know, tell us what to believe." No, you receive the sparks of brilliance, and then you basically like force feed AI to like find a way to back up that brilliance. That's
Right.
at least that I've seen that has worked brilliantly when it comes to using AI for my benefit. Whereas obviously with like the boomers and not even just the boomers, but I think boomers is a good good example is they don't really have that, like, spark of brilliance, just muscle built. It's like
They don't.
it's like
It was
the
beat out of them, honestly. To be fair, it was beat out of them.
so, yeah, so with the AI thing, it's like they don't have it's but it's coming back, which I think is very interesting. Like, it's, like, slowly as they start to realize that the AI is not telling them things that they are supposed to actually know, and then the AI is supposed to, like, help them know more. It's beginning that whatever that facade, whatever that, like, spell that they were under is coming away. It's coming apart.
That's because people like you are training it to not be the see, this is the problem. They have no way of combating how we're training this AI to operate. Like me, I don't use AI like that either. I actually don't really use AI too much because I prefer to just go and do the research myself. So when I do use AI, it's very limited. And like I had mentioned before, the guy who taught me how to use AI, basically he would ask one AI one, he already knew the answer. So he would ask, and that's basically me, like intuitively, I know the answer to the question that I'm asking. But I'm trying to, like you said, get them to support my answer. So I will ask one AI because they're not all the same. I will ask one AI the question, then I will ask another AI the question. Then I'll go to a third AI and say, what do you think about these two things? Then I'll take what the third AI said back to the first AI and say, well, what about this? And get them to all get on the same page, but all still while proving that I'm right, but giving me different perspectives of why I'm right from different language models. And that's how I use the AI. And they never expected people to be using the AI like that because as a millennial, I'm deeply mistrustful of the internet, period. And therefore, hey, if you're going to be telling me an answer, let's get all the answers that I can possibly get. That way I can make
Mm,
the decision based off what each AI says. I can decide if I believe it or if I don't believe it. Because at some point they're gonna all start to sound the same when you're asking the questions. Plus, I ask very limited things anyway because I don't want them to one thing as a millennial on the internet, you know that they profile you. So I try to make it as difficult for them to profile me of things that I don't want them to as possible. So by using multiple AIs, like, and I might ask one question a day, I may wait 2 days before I ask another question. I don't even do it all at once. Like, again, making it much more because when I ask my question the one time, it's going to be like when I calculate, like I use AI to do advanced calculations that I can't figure out, like, and I don't want to get into the whole calculation. So like when I have them do my color calculations from like the astrological wheel, I can calculate what your color is, right? And so I will do all the hard part of figuring out what the value is for each red, blue, green, whatever. And then I'll give it to the AI and I'll say, okay, calculate this color for me. And but that'll be the only thing I ask the AI for like weeks. And then when I come back, it'll be the same thing. Hey, calculate this color for me. I never told them how I got these values, where they come from, none of that, because I did all of that on my own on paper. So they don't know where any of this stuff is coming from or why it's even relevant. And that's how I use it. Like I use it to fill gaps that I don't like. I could calculate the color value by hand if I wanted to, but do I want to do all of that? Like I use it like, okay, let me fill this gap with allowing them to do this calculation for me. And if the calculation is slightly wrong or whatever, it doesn't matter because it's basically I'm going to take the color and I'm going to ground it out to a basic color anyway. So like my color is green and my daughters, both of them are also shades of green, but my son is blue. So green is Venus and blue is Jupiter. So I thought that was really like interesting and I hadn't really done any more research into that, but like that's how I use it, like to just do the difficult part of the research that most researchers don't want to do, which is the calculations. And then let me go back and do the thinking on my own if I can. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes not.
yeah, for sure, definitely. Awesome. Okay, yeah, I think this was a great space as always. So big day tomorrow is what you're saying.
Yeah, tomorrow's the first day of the new cycle. We this Pluto is going out of bounds. We have no idea what this means. We do know the last time this happened was during the World War II, and then before that was the Revolutionary War. So every time this thing has happened in our recent past has been complete devastation to the system. And they're not going to be able to harvest this energy like they did during World War II. It's not going to be possible because we also have a lunar eclipse that's going to be happening on the 7th. So the day before the Lunar New Year, this is what I mean by Mary is being born, like into this land. The day before the Lunar New Year starts, like the day of the Pisces full moon, it is a full moon eclipse, which is a portal in and of itself. And then the next day is the nativity of the Theotokos. Who is coming through that portal? Like our mother is like returning. Like that mothering energy some of us have been like craving. Not the dark mother who is just like, yeah, I'll be your mother, but you're gonna have to do this for me. I need a favor. I need you to run to the store and give me a pack of cigarettes. That whole precious stuff. No, we don't want that kind of mother. We want a mother who loves us for who we are. And that is what is being returned to this land
Mm.
after such a long like, and I think that will help with the boomers too, because they really have parent problems. Like most of them have huge parent problems, and so we need that mothering, that real mothering energy, like to move us forward away from this what we've been experiencing the last 270 some years.
Wow. And ultimately, I mean, that really is unconditional love because everyone always
Exactly.
says, like, oh, unconditional love is only possible, like a mother's love is like the purest form of love. And
Right.
it's really
Right.
that has been sorely lacking in this reality. People haven't really, even with their mothers, like they've never experienced that type of unconditional love.
Nope.
So I think as you're saying with Mary, you said being born or coming back.
Yeah, it's the nativity. Nativity is her. This is her birthday. Like literally her birthday. It's the nativity of the Theotokos. That's the
So
feast day.
that's gonna unleash, like it's like out of nowhere, people are just gonna start to like learn how to love unconditionally. It's like
Yep.
a flip. The switch is gonna flip,
Yep.
and obviously, when you've loved your whole life with conditions, it's gonna be it's gonna be a bumpy transition for people, but that's what they've been sorely seeking. And,
Yes.
so it's very exciting. It's I definitely can see that for sure. Um, and obviously people are gonna gravitate to those that, like, have that light, have that
Yep.
warmth, and the ones that have been faking it, it's like everyone's gonna be like, "Dang, who's this clown? Like, what why did
Right.
what?"
What did I see in
Yeah,
here?
uh-huh.
Oh, like you, the lights turn on at the
Uh-huh,
club, and
yes,
you're like, "Who was
exactly,
I dancing
exactly.
with? Oh my god! Look at his
Exactly,
taste.
yes,
Ew!"
the
Like,
lights are
yeah.
getting turned on at the club. That's when it's like, "Oh shit, I gotta go home, like, I'm tired,
Right.
like, what the
Right.
fuck did I just do? That liquor was shit."
Right. Right. Exactly. What was I drinking? Oh no, golly.
That's
I'm old, so it
hilarious.
was like, who was I dancing with? Like this man. Come on, let's go. No, we don't go home with no man.
Uh-huh,
Let's go. That was always
uh-huh.
me. I was like, come on, no,
And the
no,
guy
no, no.
trying, the
Oh
guy
no, go
trying is
home.
like, "No, I
Yeah,
don't know
please
what
come on.
happened, but the lights are on." Like, it's just
Yep.
goodbye.
Lights are on. It's time to go. Pick up your shoes. We're going to IHOP. Like you could meet us at IHOP and pay, and then be like, "Oh, we're not going to IHOP. We're going
Uh-huh,
home." But
yeah.
we told them we was going to
McDonald's
IHOP. You know that's
drive-through.
right, exactly. Nah, y'all can't even walk. Y'all can't. They're gonna be throwing up. It's all good. I mean, Lord, this is I. That's my age right there. Like, no, I was hanging out with some people who could party. That's what it's gonna feel like. People are gonna be like coming out of this drunken stupor
Wow.
and saying like, what in the world has happened? Like, that's what it feels like as a person who has been in that situation of the lights coming on at the club and being like, what happened? Like,
Mm.
yeah, that's what this feels like. Like, we've been date raped,
Yeah,
drugged.
right.
And basically, like, everyone's going to be like, okay, now that that thing is out of my system, I need to figure out what happened last night. Like, I don't even, what was that movie where they were like, um, they ended up with the baby and Mike Tyson with the tiger and
Oh,
in
yeah,
Vegas?
Hangover.
Hangover.
Yeah, yes, right.
That's
They're
what
gonna
it's
be like,
gonna be like.
they're gonna be like,
Everybody's gonna wake
that's
up.
not me. Why did I treat this person like that? This is what's going
Where did we
on?
get the baby from?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what's gonna feel like. But because we're energetically in tune, we're getting the preview. Like I'm seeing that in my own life. Like, Dad, you mean to tell me I never knew, I never thought about connecting Tertullian with Cosmoton and the comic. Like I did this research in 2022. It never connected in my brain that these things went together. Like it never
Wow.
connected, even though I did the research. So that's what it's like. Tag, man, all this stuff goes together. I didn't realize this, and that's what like. That's what I have been feeling for the last 2 weeks. Like, holy smokes, this stuff goes together.
Mm.
These are not separate things. These are things that these were all parts of the elephant. I didn't even realize I was looking at an elephant the whole time. I just had the tail, I had the snout, I had the leg. This is an elephant. Oh my gosh. Like that's what it feels like. And these people who are not like conscious of their energy, they're gonna be waking up and saying, Is that an elephant? Like where'd the elephant come from? And of course, people like us have been like, the elephant was already there. You didn't notice a big giant elephant there? They were like, no, I never noticed there was an elephant there. Like that's how it feels. Like every time I talk to somebody, they're like, oh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. I'm like, you couldn't see this? Like in your brain, you couldn't like figure it out, but no, they couldn't. So we have to give them, like I said,
Yeah.
grace
Hmm.
because
Definitely.
it's a very difficult thing to realize that you really messed up.
Yeah, that you
Like you messed up
stupid. You
so bad.
stupid.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay
Yeah, I
stupid,
try to
obviously,
save
but
that word for exactly.
but
Please don't say
like
stupid.
at least realize like where you were, and now like
Right.
don't go back to that.
Exactly. Don't go back. Don't get turned into a pillar of salt like Lot's wife. Like just keep moving forward. Say, I did some things, they probably weren't so good, and now I'm gonna move on with my life. Like that's what we need people to do. So that's why you can't be holding stuff over people's
Mhm.
heads and doing all this, that again, this is what the maturity comes in, like to just be able to say, you made a mistake. It's cool. Let's just move forward, and we're not going to get involved in all of that. And that's very difficult for a lot of people because you have to have done that with
Right.
yourself first before you can do it with anyone else. And so that's where that self love, that self knowledge, that self acknowledgement of your own suffering comes in. And then also accepting and realizing that it really wasn't you that did this. It really was an entity or entities interfering with your energy and not allowing them to gaslight you into believing that you're just somehow doing this to yourself. Like, no, we're not going to go back down that road where you're trying to tell me I was just doing this to myself and I was making it up. We're not going down that road. So you don't have to believe me. I didn't even ask you, if you believe me or not. But don't be trying to make it sound like I'm somehow just making this stuff up. No, 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 no. We're not going down that road. And we have to stand 10 toes on that because they're gonna try to as they're waking up out of this. Think about it. When you realize that the lights are on, you're leaving the club, the first thing you say is, I wasn't dancing with that guy. And you look at, I mean, at least in the early 2000s, that's what we did. I got the pictures, man. I had my
Uh-huh,
camera taking the
uh-huh.
pictures. I got
Like
a
I
picture
done
of you
warned you
dancing with.
about that guy.
Exactly. We
You're not
told
gonna say
you.
you didn't dance with him. Like, come on.
Exactly. We saw you. We all saw you. No, y'all didn't. Yes, we did. Okay, I took a picture. I took a picture with my camera. Let me open the camera and show you because the phones didn't do that. Let me open the camera and show you the picture I took with you and that dude
Uh-huh.
because you're trying to act like you wasn't dancing with him and I saw you. Like that's the kind of
Like I
like thing that's gonna
purposefully
happen.
took a picture of the three of us because I
Right.
knew you were gonna fucking say you didn't.
Exactly. Like, no, we saw you. We all saw you. So just stop the cap because we saw it. Like that's how it's gonna feel for some of these people. I can sense that. Like they're just gonna be like, no, I don't believe in the Antichrist. Well, do you believe in original sin? Well, of course there's original sin. Well, I don't believe in that. So therefore, we don't actually believe in the same thing. That is really huge because orthodoxy don't have original sin. There is no
Oh
original. It's so
wow.
weird. Like we don't have original. We don't believe in that. And so I didn't realize that was one of the things we didn't believe until I was reading like you Augustine's bio, and I was like, oh, we don't even talk about it like that.
Mm.
That's weird. Or like the whole thing of, oh, the Holy Spirit comes from the Father and the Son. That's weird. That's how are two men? That's weird. Like, who believes this stuff? And I never believed any of that, but I didn't realize that was a tenet of being, a regular Protestant. Like, that's the kind of thing that's going to come out, and they're going to have to address that. So, another thing, okay, last thing, I noticed when I was going through the calendar for this upcoming year, now this year, 2025, Easter was the same day for the Protestants and the Catholics as it was for the Orthodox, which was like never has happened in like thousands of years, right? We always had different Easters because Orthodox Easter is based on the moon and Protestant Easter is based on the Easter bunny. Like I don't know what they base it on. And so next year in 2026, their Protestant Easter is the week before Orthodox Easter, which is like, what happened? I thought we were celebrating Easter together from now on. But no, they only did it for 2025 because of Francis. That was it. They're not probably ever going to do it again. So they're totally on the wrong timeline. Like, they purposely brought the timeline together to sync this year. And after this year, the timelines are going to separate again, which is unbelievable.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could change, right? Because can't this new pope technically change it?
Why did he change it from the way they did it this year?
Oh, so
That's what I
has
can't
it? So it has
understand.
officially been changed back to?
Yeah, it's been changed.
Huh.
They because the calendars are already coming out if you notice. But and also this year, 2025, Francis declared it a Jubilee year too. So this is they're changing. I don't know why they're changing it back. The Orthodox is always calculated the same way. Theirs is the one that changes every year. It changes the way that it's calculated, which is why you cannot ever figure out what they got going on. So it's crazy that in the Jubilee year, they synced everything. And now after the Jubilee year, they've unsynced it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Why would they do that? It's so weird. So it's even more critical that we have the calendar. We had the calendar synced this year because everything was synced. Next year, it's not, it's out of sync again. And the Protestants are going off on some other direction. It's so weird.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah,
Okay.
we can end it here. Thank you so much. Hope you have an amazing
Absolutely.
weekend, and we'll reconvene back on Tuesday.
All right.
Great. Thank you. Bye.